Hello, hello, hello. I asked you guys on Instagram to name any album ever, and I was going to determine in a YouTube video whether that album is overrated, underrated, or properly rated. You guys gave me a bunch of different types of albums, so thank you for that. And if you would like to get featured in a video like this in the future, just follow me on Instagram, dumptoes. And yeah, usually I ask a question on my story and you guys give me awesome feedback for a YouTube video. So yeah, do that. Before I get into the video though, please like and subscribe. That would help me out a bunch. We are doing a real good job right now. You guys are supporting me. And I appreciate everybody watching these videos. You guys are goated. I realized as I was going through your guys' feedback and responses to my question on my Instagram story, I did not explain what I was trying to do very well. I said underrated, overrated, or properly rated, and then under that I was like, name any album ever. I never really said that I was gonna pick whether that album was all of those options, but yeah, that's basically what I'm doing in this video. So I'm gonna give you guys a couple of examples of what some people were sending in, and I'm gonna, read it out loud and then say my take on it, even though that's not the premise of the video, but just for fun. Someone said, I think DSU is Alex G's most underrated album. Skipper and Boy are also the best tracks. I agree with the DSU being most underrated, but I also think that DSU is Alex G's best album. No other album by Alex G grabs my attention the way that DSU does from start to finish. Another example of all of you guys misunderstanding what my whole thing was, even though it's my fault. Someone said underrated Lungfish, the unanimous hour. And in general, I wanted to talk about this for like a second. Lungfish, so underrated. Lungfish, overlooked. Lungfish, so good. Okay, so this next one is by someone I know, but they wanted to be anonymous. Overrated, anything released by Glare, I'm so sorry. Underrated, Sultans of Sentiment by the Van Pelt. Okay. Properly rated, I Can Hear the Heart Beating as One by Yola Tango. Great record and many people love it. Properly rated. That's all I really got to say. So let's move on to what this whole video is actually about. And just so we're not confused again, I'm going to say it one more time. You guys named an album and I'm going to give you guys my take, whether it's overrated, underrated, or properly rated. Okay, let's begin. Local H, Pack Up the Cats. Underrated band in general, Local H is. I know they have damn near 1 million monthly listeners on Spotify, so is that really underrated? I still believe you can be underrated even with that many monthly listeners. Now that album specifically, I remember a point in time in my life about a year and a half ago, something like that. I was really into that album specifically because I bought a Local H Pack Up the Cats shirt from the 90s when that album released, and it was such a sick graphic on the front and on the back. It was pretty simple, but I thought it was badass. I ended up selling that shirt and I regret it. Yeah, dude, I think that album is underrated. The next album on the list is Loveless by My Bloody Valentine, and I think that that album is properly rated. Now, with every popular album, there will always be a crowd that will chant overrated, but I look and listen to this album and I'm just like, how can you say that when it's so influential? It's so genre defining. The album in itself isn't even a bad album, so I don't know what you're trying to argue about. And I know someone didn't say that this is overrated, but I always hear a bunch of people say that this album and band are overrated. So yeah, that's my take on that album and My Bloody Valentine in general. They're just that influential band for a bunch of people, so yeah, iconic. Okay, the next album on the list is Hyperview by Title Fight, and you guys know where I stand. Underrated, overrated, or properly rated? It's overrated, man. Sources say that a lot of people have this as Title Fight's best album, which is ludicrous. Yes, I understand as a band you want to continue to grow and try different types of sounds, and I think that they did okay for this type of album with Hyperview. There's just this shoegaze influence in there, but I never looked at this album like it was some type of amazing album that will never be topped. I thought it was just another type of shoegaze album that bands were kind of leaning into during that time, and in my opinion, it's overrated. Next album on the list is OK Computer by Radiohead, and I believe that album is properly rated. Again, like I said, there's always a crowd that chants overrated with popular albums, and I used to be in that crowd when talking about OK Computer many years ago. Such bland type of music, but I don't know what my little pea brain was thinking back then, because this music is regarded as some of the best music ever, but they do have an album that I will talk about later that I'm not too fond of. In the meantime, here's the next album, Weezer's Blue Album, and I believe that this album is highly underrated. A couple years ago, I felt like Weezer was the butt of the joke for everybody. You would see it everywhere online, and maybe it's been like that for many years, and even still today. It's like, Weezer, oh, you're such a nerd. And that was funny for 10 seconds. And it is fair to say that this is probably Weezer's most known album. This is their, cream of the crop when it comes to their albums and work. But I still feel like it doesn't get enough love for the other songs. The song "The World Has Turned and Left Me Here" is a banger. It's absolutely gorgeous. Oh my god, this whole entire album is a masterpiece. And I guess I'm not saying the wildest take in existence because, it's the Blue Album, it's Weezer. But yeah, I feel like it doesn't get enough love for the other songs. But that doesn't really matter too much, I guess, because it still gets love. I'm going with underrated. That's my take. Underrated Blue Album by Weezer. Okay, moving on to the album Alice in Chains, self-titled, or Tripod, or Dog album. There's a lot of different names for this. I think this album is underrated. And you know what, man? When it comes to the Alice in Chains heads, because I was a big Alice in Chains guy, and I find myself kind of walking back on that take where it was like, I don't care for this band anymore, because there are some songs and they have greatness within the band. So maybe I was talking out of my butt cheeks, but this band is kind of fantastic when it comes to making you feel a lot of different emotions. And this album is underrated, but you always hear a bunch of Alice in Chains people saying that the album's underrated. So is it really underrated? Maybe it's just properly rated. I never really hear anybody saying that the album is trash, garbage, overrated, or anything like that. So there's not too much negativity that I hear, at least, when it comes to this self-titled album. This is the last album that Lane Staley kind of worked on with Alice in Chains. They feel way darker in this album, man. They do. And at the end of the day, I feel like this album is still underrated. Next up, Pablo Honey by Radiohead. Overrated. My interest levels deteriorate at a rapid pace. Alright, the next album is Magnified by Failure. You guys know I'm a big Failure guy. I got a Failure Banty over there in my closet. And maybe I'm probably saltier because people talk more about Magnified rather than Comfort. That album by Failure, Comfort, is fantastic. Fantastic Planet, no, it's not as good as Fantastic Planet. I don't know, man. I just feel like Magnified it's good, but it's not as good as Comfort. And Comfort is a different flavor that Failure provides for us. It's a lot darker, and maybe that's why I like it. Magnified, it's good, but I'm just mad, I guess. Whatever. I'm still gonna say Magnified's overrated, though, so. Bush, 16 Stone. I can't believe somebody actually submitted this. Absolutely disgraceful. I'm not a fan of Bush. I'm not going to talk about him anymore. Okay, someone said Whole Lotta Red. Overrated, underrated, properly rated. I would say it's underrated still. And you know what sticks in my brain when I think of Whole Lotta Red is that when it first released, a lot of people were bashing that album. And I don't understand why. Because at that time, I believed that the album was really, really good. And I was like, this is gas. This time right now, I believe it's still underrated, even though some people have turned around on the project. And yeah, dude, I stand firmly with Whole Lotta Red being gasoline. And I never really wavered, I never tilted my opinion. Heck yeah, man, I like that album a lot. It's very fun. It's in your face. A lot of cool beats. Okay, moving on to Spiderland by Slint. And I remember my first time listening to this album was in the car with my wonderful Alexa, my beautiful Alexa, and she was blasting it, and I was just like, what is this? This is booty cheeks, change it. I don't feel that same type of way anymore because I was so dumb back then, and I'm kind of dumb still, but not as much. And that album is generational. That album is inspirational. There's a reason that a lot of people love it. A lot of people have acclaimed that album as a fantastic piece of work. And I think it's, I'll go properly rated. Finally, the last album that I'm going to be talking about is Celebrity Skin by Hole. Wholly underrated, bro. Wholly underrated. Super duper underrated, even though that's probably the most popular album with their most popular song on there. But dude, the rest of the songs on there is just banger. The song Dying, oh my god, that song it's not hard to hear, but it's sad AF. And when the drums kick in and like the beat drops, I guess, so to speak, it's freaking beautiful. There's a lot of, it feels like a tortured soul, you know what I'm saying, within that album, but there's a lot of fun tracks on there too. I think it's underrated. Petals, what a track. What a closing track. To end this video off, here's what Alexa said in the replies when I posted on my story to name any album ever. She said, "Show me them boobs." Okay, so that's the whole video. Thanks for submitting your guys' thoughts and albums and all that stuff. And next time I'll be a lot more clear about what my intentions are for a video. Like and subscribe. Keep the music alive. Hum will never die.